Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Baby Talk Tuesday. I'm Car Wright. I almost said I'm your host, but that's not really actually that accurate. Um, for those of you that know me, you know my background. For those of you that don't, maybe you're new to Baby Talk Tuesdays. Um, I have basically been working with mama and babies for most of my adult life in all different ways. I've been a doula. I owned a prenatal and postnatal yoga studio. Um, I worked with all sorts of, with midwives and with OBs, and I've worked with people who work with women. So the people who support the women who are having babies. Um, and now I energetically work with women and babies, and I give people more information so they have more possibilities with what can be created with mom and babies. So welcome. I do these every Tuesday. I'm a little bit late today because my StreamYard was being very strange. Um, I had to acknowledge all the babies that were there, you know, desiring to be heard. I think that's part of what this creation is for me personally is making sure that the world knows that babies communicate and they communicate in much more expanded ways much earlier than you may think. So, if you are someone who loves this content and you're seeing me kind of randomly on Facebook, I do have a group that you can join, Baby Talk with Car Wright. All of the videos that I do are in there, and also there's other things that I talk about in there. If you have questions or you have certain things that you'd like me to go and address with Baby Talk, you can ask there, and I can create a Baby Talk. Um, you know, the next Baby Talk Tuesday may be for you. Um, so today, what are we going to talk about? Today, we're going to have a conversation about what does your body require during pregnancy? Um, and everybody, people who are familiar with pregnancy and birth, like most people think they know what that is. And there are definitely different dietary needs when you're pregnant. There are things that your body may require in abundance that it doesn't normally when you're literally putting together the building blocks of a baby. But today I kind of want to talk about some of the things that I have learned over the years that your body may require that is completely different that you might not be considering. I've talked a lot about with baby talk, obviously, about baby communication and that your baby, your baby's body, and your body are all in this cooperative creation prior to pregnancy, during birth, during that postpartum period, that 3 months after baby comes out, where they're basically just like similar to how they were in utero. Did you know that there's a lot of historical studies that show us that we used to carry babies for longer than 9 months? We actually used to carry them for a year. And through evolution and through how our bodies have changed, that period of gestation has basically become 9 months. And so, one of the things I always recommended to my prenatal students and also to my doula clients was that just to consider that first 3 months, even though your baby's outside of the womb, it's real similar to being in the womb in the way that the baby is with you, with the world, with itself, with its body. They don't really know, like they know they're out, but they would prefer a womb like atmosphere for 3 months. So keep that in mind. I think a lot of people don't know that. And I do get a lot of people put themselves and their babies in situations that maybe neither are ready for. So not only does the baby still require that 3 months that is basically the fourth trimester, but so does the mom's body at some times and in some ways. So, you know, try not to plan too much in those first 3 months. See how much you can um, be low key and be present. Doesn't mean you don't leave your house or talk to anyone, but just be aware. Be aware of what's going to work for you. Don't force yourself to be around people. Don't force your baby to be around people. Um, just because baby's out of the belly doesn't mean that everybody gets to like jump all around and jump on board. So um, that's sometimes really hard for people to do, and they don't choose it, and they end up, not having a fun time with their baby, with their body, with their baby's body, et cetera, et cetera. So apparently, we were going to talk about the fourth trimester today. That's definitely something your body requires. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, like beyond dietary needs, I think that there's a baby talk somewhere in the past where I spoke to the idea that sometimes the way that babies communicate with moms and with moms' bodies is by food cravings. So it's not just that you're pregnant that you're craving certain things. Like some women crave things based on something that their body requires, but sometimes it's really just your baby desiring to have something, and it may not actually be a body thing. I've talked a lot in the past about with access consciousness, some of the tools of access consciousness that I use with baby talk, with pregnant mamas, is to be in the question all the time. I think definitely what your body requires, one of the things your body requires is the ability to give you different information all the time. When you're pregnant, every day is different. Every day is different. Like, and every day you're building something different with the baby body. And so some days you might need one thing, and you might, you might need more water, or you might need, more nutrients, or you might need more protein, or, you might need more rest or more exercise. And you really can't gauge what your body is going to need until you're in the moment of like, okay, what does my body actually require today? And that's always a good question to start your day with when you're pregnant, because every day is very different, and you can kind of know. I mean, we all know there's a million and one books on the market to tell you like, oh, it's day 143, and this is what your body and your baby are doing today. Um, Please know that any pregnancy birth book on the market, any pregnancy birth specialist, expert, whatever, your best friend who's had a bazillion babies, or your sister, or your mom, or your mother in law, like all of these people can give you information. They can be a guide in a sense of like, that's interesting. I will take that into consideration. But please always be checking in with you, with your baby, with your body, and your baby's body. So those are four elements that you check in with. And how do you check in with that? You being the question of it. Like, okay, cool. I've just read this particular thing in a book. Does that actually is body is that true for us? And again, another baby talk, I talked about one of the tools in access consciousness that is so valuable, because no two births are the same, no two pregnancies are the same. Your body is never going to, like, even if you have two pregnancies, they're not going to be the same, because your body will be different during both of them. The baby you're growing will be different during both of them. The requirements and the needs of that baby will be different. And so to have in stone, this is what it is very misleading, and can actually start to create a disruption for you, your awareness of what you know as a woman. Um, I think I talked last week about the Industrial Revolution and pregnancy and birth, especially, and how somewhere in that whole process in the early 1900s, we decided that birth and pregnancy were some sort of mechanical function. and that every body does it the same, and that if that body's not doing it the same, there's something wrong. That's the basic, like we monitor a woman during pregnancy and we monitor a birth so dynamically because the point of view is that if you don't fall into these very specific parameters, it's wrong. And we have to do something to fix it because we can't just, you can't just have your own experience about with pregnancy and birth. You have to match this chart on the wall. Um, are some of those guidelines helpful and relevant? Absolutely. But you have to be willing to be in the question of like, is that actually relevant to me, to my body, to my baby, or to my baby's body? And is it now, or maybe it's later? Like sometimes some of the advice, or especially with nutritional needs or diet or movement, like it's not a now thing. Like you don't need to be worrying about it at 28 weeks. If the same thing's going on at 38 weeks, that might be a different conversation. So it's like also be willing to know where you are in your experience. And to pay attention to what you and your body are aware of. Like if someone says something to you as if it's fact and it makes everything inside you go, "Bleh," it might not be true for you. And it's okay for things to not be true for you. It's okay for things to not be true for your body or for your baby. You don't have to match the chart on the wall. Sometimes attempting to match the chart on the wall is the exact thing that puts you and your baby in a um, you know predicament, especially with birth. There's so many things around like this is how it has to be and this is how it has to go, and oftentimes that's not what your body requires. So this seemingly easy tool of what's true for you will be light. You'll feel this sense of like, oh, okay, space. What's heavy for you will be weird. It'll feel like, it'll feel twisted. And when you're pregnant, your instinctual world goes through the roof. If you've ever talked to a woman who has been pregnant and gone through birth, like literally, you're so much more aware of everything in your environment. And I mean, Mother Nature's pretty amazing. When you're carrying a baby and you're going into labor, you're more vulnerable. So of course Mother Nature is going to make single spidey sense that you've got available to you like heightened so that you can be aware of your environment. And if you need to move, if there's something that's like um disrupting you or something that's threatening you or putting you or your baby in danger, literally, like if you're in labor, and then we do this to women all the time, unfortunately, but if you're in early stages of labor and somebody freaks you out or makes you feel unsafe or makes you feel threatened in any way, your body will stop labor. It will stop. And I find it so amazing that people don't understand this or know this and constantly do this to women who are going into labor. Like, if there's anything that you can do for yourself, really make sure that you have a good support group around a support um, group around you when you could be going into labor that is not going to make you feel afraid or threatened or fearful, because that is one of the number one things that can happen. The instinct for you to, because if you're in nature and you're going into labor, this is true for all animals, and you hear a predator, there's got to be something on board to stop the labor process, allow you to go to a safe destination, and then begin the labor process again. That is how our bodies work as well. And we, on purpose, based on how we do birth in this country and all around the world, trip that all the time. Most of you probably know someone, or maybe you yourself, was at home, labor was clicking right along. You're like, oh my gosh, They're 1 to 3 minutes apart, the contractions, let's go. And then you get in the car and go to the hospital and everything stops. And you're like, no, I swear I was in labor. That's what you did. You just tripped your body's ability to go, nope, we're no longer safe. We're going to stop this whole labor thing and we're going to go find a safe environment. So if that is someone, if you, that is you, and you've traveled to the hospital and you don't want to go back home to come back later, whatever you need to do in order to feel comfortable and safe again. A lot of times, like with me, with my clients, I would just take them into the bathroom, turn the lights off, get a warm shower going, get them in the shower where nobody was like fussing or mussing with them. So it's a little trick of the trade for that type of thing. And again, like, do I know where these baby talks are going to go when I come on to them? Not really. I have a general idea of what I'm going to talk about, but I guess we're talking about today that your body actually might require quiet and not a lot of external stimulation, no lights, no sound, no people. Um, Sometimes that's the ticket for getting things going or getting things back going if they've slowed down, is making that mama feel like she's safe and not just cognitively. Because the thing that's really funny to me with birth and pregnancy is that somewhere in a lot of our worlds, we've decided we can cognitize this whole process. Mm, Birth is a very physiological process that has been like hardwired into our bodies. So you can't think yourself out of these things. Sometimes you actually have to be in the question of what your body requires and do it. You know, okay, everybody wants to be at your birth. Too bad. If them being at your birth is going to make your birth disruptive and cause you and the baby stress, they don't get to be there. Like that's another one of those things we do. Maybe I'll do a baby talk on that. Um, do you have to invite everyone to your birth? Maybe I'll do a baby talk on that. That would be a good one for future. The answer to that is no, you don't. Um, will you be seen as a villain? Possibly. But again, we've created all these weird traditions around pregnancy, birth, and postpartum that don't actually align with what works for the woman and the baby. Now, do some women have not an issue with it? Absolutely. Again, this really has to go back to what is going to work for you, what is going to work for your baby, what is going to work for your body, and what is going to work for your baby's body. So that was a very interesting baby talk today. How does it get better than this? I didn't know we were going there. I feel like there's people out here that have questions beyond what I'm talking about with this particular topic. If you do, join my Baby Talk with Cara Wright group. Pop those questions in there. I'll either answer you in the group or maybe I'll do a baby talk in the future about that. Next week, we're going to have a really cool, different baby talk where I'm going to actually be doing, like I said, I used to do prenatal yoga. And so there was some movement things once you get close to having babies. So like right in that due time, anywhere from 38 to 42 weeks, where if you did this daily practice, it allows you to be more comfortable. It allows your body to be more comfortable. It allows baby's body to be more comfortable, to find an optimal position to birth in. And that's another good one. Birthing baby bodies, because what a lot of people don't realize is babies move the whole time during a birth process. It's actually amazing. So stay tuned for that baby talk in the future as well. So hopefully this contributed to you all. And again, we will be here next Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to join me and see all my past videos, please find my Baby Talk with Cara Wright Facebook group, and we will see you all next week.